but you were saying that there's actually an explanation why strength improves endurance, but not vice versa.
That's a good point, man. Yeah. Let me grab my notes real quick. I got a lot of thoughts on my head, you know, so I was writing some stuff down before. I don't want to mess this up, right?
No.
All right. Let me see. Whoa, Dr. Riley. Wow. You got glasses on, man.
Yep.
And textbooks.
What's going on here, man?
Oh, I got glasses on.
What's going on? What just happened?
Oh, gosh.
The Infinity Stone's out here, the Space Stone, Reality Stone. I like it. Hey, this kind of matches what we're talking about.
Nice.
What are we?
Science in the weight room.
Yeah. Yeah, we're reading the textbooks here. Everything, yeah. What the heck is going on here? Is
that the Krebs cycle?
What is going on in the name of biochemistry, man?
Nice.
What does this have to do with weight room, man? Are you getting scientific over here?
Everything, man.
Okay.
So remember we were talking about energy system development, right?
Sure.
The question
was,
how does strength training have an impact on endurance? But endurance training does not have an impact on strength.
How is that even possible? I guess it makes sense.
Right?
Does it make sense?
So it all goes to the mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
That's right.
Right? So the mitochondria works.
Mitochondria.
You see it? There it is. The mitochondria works for energy. Right?
Ah. And we all have mitochondria.
We all have mitochondria, right?
Okay.
So with strength training, we've got intensity levels.
Sure.
So oftentimes with intensity, people think working at a higher level of intensity is doing 100 burpees, right? And laying on the ground. That was an intense workout.
Yeah.
Right?
10 out of 10 RPE.
Was it intense though? So intensity with weights and strength training is primarily based on load.
Yes. Okay.
Right? So the heavier the weight is,
All right.
the higher the load.
Sure.
The greater percentage of your 1 RM you're at,
Mm-hmm.
right? The higher the intensity, right?
Sure.
So that level of intensity has an effect on a protein. So the protein promotes the development of the mitochondria, right?
Yeah.
So, are you following along? Maybe it's in another book. Look at another.
All these great books we have here.
And then they all fall from you.
I know, exactly.
Stealing more books.
Tell you what, should I just take notes? How about that?
Just take notes. Yeah.
Where should I get a notepad from?
Notepad.
What's going on today? Today is full of all sorts of shenanigans.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Write down mitochondria.
All right.
M-I-T-O.
Sure.
Chondria.
Chondria.
You got it?
Mitochondria. Sounds good.
All right. Anyway, so at higher levels of intensity, it allows for the release of a specific protein that promotes the development of the mitochondria, right? And so the mitochondria has the ability to restore the higher power, lower capacity energy systems, right? That's typically what we're working when we're working at these higher levels of intensity, right? So going back to what we were talking about with energy systems, within those first 10 seconds, right? That's a higher power, lower capacity energy system, right? ATP, CP, right? So the phosphagen energy system, right? So once that's depleted, you get fatigued, right? And then you recover, right? And you recover based on a good oxidative system, right? So having a good base of endurance, right, comes from the production of that protein, or the stimulus from that protein, right?
Sure.
Based on the intensity. You follow me?
Almost. So I got mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
They increase with levels of intensity. And with more training, more mitochondria develop. And this will help out with increasing power, increasing the what,
The
muscle
anaerobic, right? The anaerobic energy systems.
anaerobic energy system.
Right. Anaerobic.
Anaerobic, so not like aerobics like cardio,
Not
but
like
anaerobics.
Anaerobic.
No aerobic, no oxygen.
No oxygen, right?
Okay, so we're increasing these systems that are anaerobic, therefore increase
Now that
power.
doesn't mean you're not breathing.
Oh, okay, you gotta breathe though.
You gotta breathe. You're still breathing.
But it does require oxygen.
Right.
Wow.
The anaerobic pathways don't require oxygen.
Because within 10 seconds, it's fighter. You're just trying to get out of there, so it's explosive.
Right.
You have to breathe, you huff and puff, but the
Right.
system itself doesn't need
Doesn't
oxygen.
require oxygen.
And that's why training will help develop this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
We're on the right track there.
There we go.
Everybody following along at home?
You may continue.
So the protein, right? The protein promotes the development of the mitochondria,
Okay.
right? That specific protein from the intensity levels, right? So
Okay.
then it plays out from there. But anyway, so with strength training, right? You've got the mTOR pathway,
Okay.
right? And that's part of protein synthesis.
Okay.
So protein synthesis has to occur in order for you to facilitate muscle growth, hypertrophy, strength, right?
Sure.
So if you're doing endurance-based training, right, you're leaning more towards the AMPK enzyme, which is activated by the aerobic training,
Okay.
right? And that's working in your oxidative pathway. You following along?
AMPK.
AMPK and AKT,
Okay.
right? So AKT is what leads to mTOR,
Okay.
the mTOR pathway. That's activated by strength training, right?
Yep.
And that's an anabolic response, right?
Yes.
So if you think of your anabolic response, what does that mean?
I think about anabolic steroids.
Anabolic steroids.
Growth.
Exactly.
Anabolic. So
Don't-
growth.
Don't do steroids.
Say no to drugs.
Right. So just for the sake of terminology, right? The opposite of anabolism is what?
Cat abolism? Cat anabolism?
Catabolism?
Cat abolism?
Catabolism.
Or
Catabolism.
Catabolism.
Cat-
Catabolism.
Cat.
Cat.
C-A-T. Abolism.
Abolism. Got it. Which is the opposite of anabolism.
Right, right.
Anabolic state.
So basically what that does, if you're in a catabolic state,
Mm-hmm.
it's breaking down. So actually the body is all the time in either an anabolic state or a catabolic state, right?
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about nutrition and stuff, right? So anytime you're consuming food, right, it's putting you in a potentially anabolic state, right?
A place
But
of
then,
growth,
right?
repair.
A place of growth and repair, right? But then, let's say you get a good lift in,
Okay.
right? And now you're breaking down too, right? So you're breaking down, but you're building up, right? So
So-
everything plays together.
So if I can follow you here, Tyler.
Yes.
So,
Dr. Riley.
so what I'm thinking is, when you strength train, why would you strength train if it breaks down your muscles? Because that's catabolic.
Right.
So, but you're saying, I guess, if you do too much catabolism with forced exercise, that could be too bad if you don't have
Right.
enough anabolism to recover.
Right. Exactly.
So that's why I guess we're talking about rest breaks.
Rest breaks are
Overworking
crucial.
yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, that's respecting the energy systems in themselves and respecting the recovery too.
Sure.
Right. Remember, strength training is about the stimulus and the response. Right.
Okay.
So the stimulus would be, maybe 90%. Let's say we just rocked out 95% on the bench press today, which was 350, right?
Right?
We did that today. Tell them
Yes,
we did that
we
today.
did it today.
350 is 95%.
95%.
Yeah, for real. What's your 1RM? What do you
It's-
bench?
Well, you know what?
Do you even lift?
Wait a second. It goes back to that title, do you even lift? It's funny you ask, but I haven't really maxed out in a while, man.
It's been a
It
while
might be
since I've
something
maxed
we
out,
have to
too.
do in the near future.
Right. Just
But-
to kind of see where we're at, man.
Yeah.
But we have been doing velocity-based training.
Velocity-based training, you got it.
Right? And that kind of gives a good predictor of where you're at as far as your percentages go.
Force production, you got it.
Right. And if you're training based on percentages, I think that's great, but you can also do the RPE scale too.
RPE,
right?
rating of perceived exertion.
Rating of perceived exertion. So they've got the modified where you can go 0 to 10, right? Anything at 10, that's like maxed out. You can't do any more.
Sure.
Right? So that would be like close to your 1 rep max. What about muscle fiber types? Remember those?
Yeah, our fast twitch and our slow twitch.
Fast twitch and slow twitch.
So is type 1 is first, slow twitch.
Type 1, 1, 2, and 3? No, that's not 1, 2,
4,
and
5.
3.
What's the X-Men or something?
7X, yeah.
7X, like the speed of the Flash or something.
Right.
Like type 10 fibers.
You got
saying.
it, right? Yeah.
So if you have anything outside of this, please tell us, DM us, comment. But we all know there's only 2 power types: fast twitch.
Right. Fast twitch and slow twitch. Type 1 and then type 2A and 2X, right?
And type 2X is so basically type 2 is fast twitch.
Right.
And we have our type 2A.
Type 2s are fast twitch.
Yeah.
Type 2A kind of has properties of both.
Okay.
Right. It's going to be working in glycolysis, right? And so you've got your 2X, type 2X, that's going to be working off ATP, CP, the phosphagen energy system, right? And so that's going to be, your higher threshold motor units as well.
Yeah.
Right.
More for power stuff, like our
Right.
Olympic lifts,
Right.
jumping.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Explosiveness, right? We briefly talked about strength, getting off the toilet, right?
Right.
So if it takes you all day, you lack power, right? So you got the strength to do it. You can do it, right?
Mhm.
But based on timeline, you'll hit that oxidative pathway, right? So remember the size principle. We briefly talked about the size principle, Heinemann's size principle. So the muscles, they fire from smallest to largest, right? So smallest to largest. Smallest meaning what? Type 1s, right?
You got it.
So if your type 2Xs don't need to work, they're not going to work, right? But the type 2Xs will work when you're lifting a closer percentage to your 1RM.
They're pointing the type 1s already,
Right,
but they're pointing type 1 and type 2.
right,
Oh,
right.
together.
But then the type 2s are going to take over.
Sure.
They're going to be like, hey,
Start transferring more of the
out of the way, little man.
There we
right?
go.
And then they'll step in and you'll hit that. So the different power movements, right? Those are meant to be explosive, right? Power, you want to produce that quickly, right? And power is type 2, and then as we age, those type 2 fibers are the ones that are going to atrophy first, right? They're going to start going first.
That's right.
Right?
That makes sense, because that means when people get older, they get slower. They have these falls. They can't react as fast.
Exactly,
They
yeah.
just lose those type 2 powerful muscles so fast. They
Exactly.
the muscles are still there, but they're just not as strong as they used to be.
Right.
And you actually lose bulk.
And you can see too, yeah,
The
you
size
look
is
at
different.
somebody, yeah, and you're like, man, you've gotten smaller. And most likely, they've gotten smaller because they've lost their type 2 fibers. So then, I don't really like to use the analogy, because I think I don't know, it's controversial at times, right? But the sprinter and the marathon runner,
Sure.
right? You use that, and you look at the two side by side, right?
The
Who's
body
gonna be
builds,
bigger, right?
Yeah, the body builds are totally different.
Yeah, you can see the sprinter is obviously bigger, right?
Yep.
As opposed to the primarily type 1 fiber marathon runner.
Yeah, I just thought about even like a bicyclist. Like a bicyclist, they have sprint bicyclists where they actually sprint,
Right.
they do fast bicycle pedaling. Those
Tree trunk
men and women,
thighs.
yeah, their legs are huge. They're strong
Right.
and powerful. But traditional, like, no offense, Lance Armstrong is a great athlete.
Yeah,
That dude, he's a more slim, like, frame, like an endurance athlete.
Definitely,
But he doesn't have those
yeah.
powerful, like, this guy a bodybuilder.
Right.
What can this guy do?
I mean he's working on the Tour de France, which is I don't even know how many days.
Several hundred miles
Yeah.
of bicycling. So it's like,
Days upon days.
you got it.
And so he's having to cycle and then recover and then cycle some more.
So definitely you don't need a lot of type 2s because like that's going to be too much weight.
Right.
It's going to burn too much energy like you were saying here on the first one. I mean, it's going to demand a lot of catabolism. I mean, there's going to be a lot of energy demands because of that.
Right.
So it's kind of a full circle.
Exactly,
Started
man.
at.
And then I kind of wanted to hit too, I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit, but like when most people think of athletic, I don't know, most people do you? I don't know, maybe. Sometimes you think of fitness. Let's think more of fitness.
Sure.
If you're a fit individual, then your VO2 max must be very high, right?
Must be.
Yes and no, right? So you've got these elite athletes who their VO2 max is hanging out in what, the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you've got sedentary couch potatoes who are like 20, right?
Yep.
But then you've got weightlifters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Olympic weightlifters, right?
Olympic
So that
weightlifting.
you're snatching your clean and jerk, right? At the Olympic level, right? Not just recreationally. But these guys, their VO2 max is in the 50s.
The 50,
Right? Yeah.
It's interesting how that number 50 is right in the middle
Yeah.
between a sedentary person and an elite athlete. But that 50 number of VO2 max is still going to get you an Olympic medal.
Yeah.
I mean, so basic fitness levels. I mean, you can just do strength training recreationally and just not be a 20, not be a couch potato.
Right.
Not take like hours to get off the toilet, or ask somebody to help you off the couch.
Exactly.
And so does a spectrum of performance. I mean, that's the big thing we're looking at.
Yeah,
right?
definitely, man. Yeah.
Get that VO2 max, but I mean, you don't have to be a marathon runner. I mean, they have
No.
like total knee replacements, or they're amputees, they can't run. You can get physically fit different ways. We can do cross training. So Olympic weightlifting, you're not running. Maybe somebody who can't run or has hurt legs, they get a better VO2 max, but just
Right.
training their entire body aerobically.
Training your entire body, high intensity type training.
Sure.
They call it HIIT training.
Yeah.
Like high intensity interval training.
Right.
Right. So doing that stuff can promote adequate benefits,
Yep.
right, in VO2 max. But you're also getting some strength in there too, potentially, right, depending on the duration, right? But then talking about full circle, as we know, when you strength train, right, it promotes that protein that promotes the mitochondria.
That's right.
So
Train.
you got it. Strength
Protein.
training. So strength is STR. STREN.
Oh, it's a pinch.
G.
Strength training, protein, and then
Mito, M-I-T-O, chondria.
mitochondria. Got that. Easy. I know. So we have strength training, cell signals. It just
Right.
sends a signal out there because cells do not have.
Well, we didn't even
phone
talk
coverage.
about, we didn't even get into cell signaling and rate coding and all that stuff,
Sure,
man,
man.
which, we could save for another day.
Sure.
And I don't know, we probably have more textbooks stacked magically
I'm good.
if we start talking about that
I
stuff,
think
man.
we got some homework to do right here, so I'll be fine. Do some catching up.
Man, that's, these are some good books here, by the way. Very good
Yeah.
books, good resources. It's important to read. Dr. Riley and I, we read a lot. Not just subject matter books in the field, but there's all kinds of different books. And fun fact, though, recently I actually have started going through some of my old textbooks,
Okay.
though, right? And you read something that you heard about or whatever, and then you go back to a textbook that you had in undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
That was there the whole time.
Yep.
Have you done that?
Yes, and it kind of
Yeah.
gives you, I don't know about you, I think a lot of us will think like almost a guilt trip. It gives you an urgency to kind of review it.
Right,
We
man.
use our foundation, our fundamentals.
Yeah.
And before we try to pursue more knowledge, we got to brush up on some of these earlier things.
Exactly.
And then maybe we can just appreciate what we know.
Exactly.
And how much more we need to know.
Right.
And fill in the gap now, because I think we got to be these professional learners.
Right.
Where we got to figure out our weaknesses and fill those voids in for our own needs,
Exactly.
our clients' needs, and
Everyday
everything.
gym goers too. You can't just go and exercise randomly.
Nope.
Right? You got to train. You got to train with a purpose, and that's kind of what we're talking to you today about this stuff. And last week about the energy systems. You got to respect that stuff, man. Because if
Yep.
you don't know, ask. Right?
That's right.
And if you're looking for gains with a Z, right? A couple Z's at the end. Gains. Right? Write that down. Did you write
How
that
many
down?
Z's?
17.
Okay.
17 Z's. That's big. That's when you really get that anabolic state, right?
That should be a new thing in school. It's just anabolic state gains.
Right.
Z to
That's it, man.
17th power.
Z to the
Yeah.
17th power, man.
Yep.
But if you truly want those gains, right? You gotta have a little bit of understanding of this stuff,
Yep.
And that's again what you and I are here for, to kind of talk to you about it, Not just this stuff, but everything, it goes to the question of this sequence, do you even lift?
Do you even lift?
Do you even lift?
Do you even lift?
I
Do
do.
you even
I do.
lift?
I do.
I know you lift.
I lift.
I lift. Do you lift?
Do you lift? I knew it. I knew it.
Something we need to work on.
All right.
Yep.
Oh man,
That's it.
we got so wrapped up with all this knowledge,
Knowledge.
Science in the weight room. I forgot my coffee over there, man.
Let's get some coffee, man.
I'm gonna have to go get it.
So hey, we gotta finish this up. So we spoke about pressing and strengthening. We need some coffee.
We need coffee.
Coffee press.
Coffee press.